What's good, YouTube? Today in this video, I'm going to be going over a very important article that just recently came out on the mostimportantnews.com website. A source that I really like a lot because I think that the articles that are posted on this website are very well articulated and explained, and I feel like they're really good at, going over, and yeah, like I said earlier, articulating pretty much their ideas and what's going on in the world and the economic conditions and all of that, right? So, yeah, and as you guys know, usually their articles are very long, but because of that, I'm going to get right into it. So, yeah, but it says in the title, Middle Class Meltdown. Thanks to the reckless policies of our leaders, the middle class in the U.S. is in huge trouble. Absolutely agree with that, by the way. It goes on to say the middle class in the U.S. has been steadily shrinking for decades, but in recent years, our leaders have greatly accelerated that process. In 2020, 2021, and 2022, they absolutely flooded the system with new money. And almost all of that new money went into the pockets of the wealthy. That's very true. And while the rich were getting richer, the poor were getting more and more poor. That's a very that's a very old saying and a very popular saying still to this day that couldn't be any more further from the truth. It goes on to say the gap between the wealthy and the rest of us is now larger than ever. And that isn't a good thing for our society. Even if you are still making as much money as you did a few years ago, you have lost a lot of ground financially because the cost of living has been rapidly eating away at our standard of living. And you guys know I've been talking about this a lot, the inflation problem, because it's one of the worst things that's happening in society right now. It's one of the worst things that it's like literally actually, in fact, it's the primary reason why people are struggling in society as we speak, because everything in this world is about money. Like, it's so crazy that the idea of you needing money to basically have your own basic needs has been so normalized. And not only that, but the demand for, like, more money that's needed for you to be able to, have these basic needs due to like inflation and things like that, you know, they're making you basically pay more money for these things like rent, groceries, gas, all of these different things, right? It's getting more expensive, and the money that you work your ass off for day in and day out is being devalued. And of course, this is all by design. This is all about keeping people under their control. And this is all about keeping you a slave in their system for as long as they possibly can. Where was I left off at? As I covered, I think I'm in that area. Yeah. As I covered the other day, household income in the United States has declined by 9.1% since April 2020 after adjusting for inflation and taxes. In other words, the middle class is a whole lot smaller than it was in April 2020. True. And it continues to get smaller with each passing day. Yeah, as everything gets more and more insanely expensive. According to Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi, on average, Americans are now spending $709 more per month on everyday goods and services than they did 2 years ago. Americans are spending $709 more per month in everyday goods and services than they did 2 years ago, according to Moody's Analytics. Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi made the statement Friday on X, formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, that's the new name for the social media, but that's not the subject of this video. As part of his analysis of July's Consumer Price Index report. Is the rising cost of living causing financial stress for you? And that's a question too. I mean, that's not even a question at this point. Like, it's an obvious yes, right? It's an obvious yes that it's a massive financial struggle for the vast majority of us, right? And just the vast majority of people in society as a whole, right? Of course, everybody is, or most people, not everybody, because the rich people obviously are not really feeling it because they're not really affected by inflation that much. They have so much money that they don't really have to worry about it as much as we do, right? But the vast majority of us are feeling that squeeze, and the struggle and the stress of having to pay more and more money for these things to have our basic needs. And it's sickening to me that this is the way that this corrupt system has been designed, and it's been so normalized to the point that people think that it's like, that it's perfectly fine and that it's okay that it's this way. But even though most people are experiencing the struggle, they still don't see it for what it is, right? Which is a slave system that's designed to keep you working your ass off for the rest of your life, forever, at a job that you literally hate, at a job that crushes your soul and makes you just hate your life, right? Because it's so like unenjoyable and so depressing for most people. I'm not saying that this is the case for all people. Like, you have like a small portion of people that enjoy what they do with work, but I would argue that that's not the case for most people, right? Most of us, we're just doing this, we're doing what we can to make money, obviously. We're doing the work for the money, to pay the bills and everything like that. And most of these companies, unfortunately, they don't pay you enough to be able to, make a decent living. And that's the sad reality of this slave system that we continue to literally have to face every single day. But yeah, it goes on to say, if it is, you are definitely not alone. The wealthy are doing just fine for the moment, but inflation has caused a lot of pain for the vast majority of the rest of us. That's literally what I just said. Just paying for a place to live has become incredibly oppressive. I couldn't agree any more with that. Personally, I was astounded to learn that the average rent in Manhattan has now reached $5,588 per month. Did you guys hear that? $5,588 per month. That's more than what most people make. That's more than, not the 5,000, right? But if you do the math on that, like if you paid that much money every year, right? And you do the math on how much that is that you have to pay in 1 year, pretty much. That's more than what most people make a year, which is like around $60,000, right? Most people don't even make $60,000 a year. I believe the average income is like what, between like $30,000 and $40,000, something like that. But I'd have to look that up again. But most people are not making even $60,000 a year. But then you have to also keep in mind that even if you did make that type of money, it still wouldn't cut it in Manhattan, because that doesn't even, the $5,588 a month to pay for rent in that area, that doesn't even factor in all of your other expenses, right? Like maintenance costs on your vehicle, right? It doesn't even factor in electricity, your electric bill. It doesn't even factor in your phone bill. It doesn't factor in your internet bill. It doesn't factor in all of these other expenses. And imagine, top that off with having a family as well and having kids that you have to provide for and feed. along with yourself and everything, and you know, having to provide for all your entire family, and top all of those things off, add all of those different things to the equation, and it is going to be a massive struggle. Even if you're not paying $5,000 a month, even if you're paying, let's say, $1,000 a month, right? It's still a struggle because there's so many different bills that you have to keep up with, and those costs of those things that you need continue to go up on a consistent basis. It's a slave system, folks. It is a blatantly obvious slave system, and I cannot stress that enough. And it keeps becoming more and more obvious. And it blows my mind how many people still don't see it for what it is. A whole slave system that's run by psychopaths that are hell-bent on keeping you a slave in their system, struggling to make ends meet, depressed. Money is their number one tool of control. That is a fact, an undeniable fact. Money is their primary tool for control. Because guess what? If you don't have enough of it, you can't have a sustainable life. You can't live a sustainable, decent life. You can't have a roof over your head. You can't even buy your own food if you don't have money. Right? You can't even buy seeds to grow your own food if you don't have money. Everything costs money in this society. Everything. But yeah, I had to go on that like little rant about it because I feel like it's necessary, and I don't really care if, you know, some people might not like to hear it or whatever. In that case, they just don't like to hear the truth, which is their problem, not mine. But I'm going to continue putting these videos out there, warning people, and, you know, speaking my mind because, quite frankly, I'm going to just tell you this right now. I'm sick of this slave system. I'm sick of it. And I'm sure most of us are sick of it too. You know, especially the people watching this video, right? You guys, most of the people that come across my videos already understand these things that I'm saying as I'm talking right now. You guys already know what these things are about. You guys already know who's behind these things. You guys already know what the agenda is. And in the future, you know, you're going to see the trend of everything getting more expensive and pretty much the struggle of life continue to get worse. But keep in mind that there's still things that you can do to better prepare yourself for what's to come. And in a recent video that I made, I recommended investing, getting into investing, because that's definitely something that's very important and becoming more important by the day, especially as the dollar continues to get devalued. It's becoming more and more crucial that you start doing your research on that. But yeah, it's a struggle for the vast majority of us, you know, and for the vast majority of people in society. And it's all orchestrated. This is how this corrupt system has been designed. It goes on to say New Yorkers are feeling the squeeze as rents hit a new high. Rent in Manhattan soared to a record high average of $5,588 in July, up 9% from 2022. It's literally insane. I don't even know what else to say about that. It's just crazy to me. Like, I knew cost of living was ridiculous in these types of urban areas, but it's just insane. And don't even get me started with taxes too. When you factor in expenses that you have to pay on a consistent basis, like with these bills, and then the taxes of next year that you have to pay, where they just extort a large portion of your hard-earned money every single year, it's so blatantly obvious that these people want you to be struggling in this corrupt, tyrannical, oppressive slave system. It goes on to say it's hurting tenants struggling to find apartments they can afford. One apartment hunter said she can't find a studio to suit her work from home needs for less than $5,000. And then you wonder why as well. You wonder why the homelessness crisis is also skyrocketing, because the cost of living is just insane. It's insane. Even in like these non-urban type of areas, the prices are still ridiculous. It says, who can afford that? Question mark. Only the wealthy. Damn right. Of course, the truth is that rents have been soaring all over the country. It is being reported that the nationwide average rent to income ratio has exceeded 30% for the past 2 years. This is the very first time in the history of our country that this has ever happened. With rents being so high, a lot of Americans are being forced out into the streets. Yep. Like I said, the homelessness crisis is getting worse. It's also really bad in areas like California as well. And it makes perfect sense why that is. Cost of living in these areas, especially these urban areas, are absolutely crazy. And that's why it's like damn near impossible for a lot of these people to make a, decent living, because, we're dealing with a slave system that's designed to keep you struggling, while these pathetic companies continue paying you these garbage wages that aren't enough to keep up with inflation. I came across a video. I keep talking a lot, but I have a lot to say. But I came across a video on this channel. It's called DoorDash Sucks. And it's an awesome guy. He speaks a lot of truth too. He sees through the corruption of these companies and, with this system and everything like that. Awesome dude. Very well articulated too. He actually brought up a great point about how, pretty much like, the wages of these jobs and whatnot have basically been increasing by like breadcrumbs, right? Compared to how much the cost of living has been increasing over the past few years. Like, for example, right? Minimum wage has been, over the past few years, has been increasing by a measly between like $2 to $4 extra per hour over the past few years, right? Like, for example, back in late 2019-ish, around that time, right? This is just an example from my own experience of something that I noticed for myself. In late 2019-ish, I was in the process of trying to work at a fast food job, just to make some type of money. I was in high school. I needed some type of job. I wanted, to be able to make some type of money. And around that time, I was told that that they were paying $10 an hour, which is terrible, by the way. Even during those times, that was before the whole massive scam took place. It was several months before it happened. But I was being told they were paying $10 an hour around that time. And fast forward now to 2023, almost 2024. In the next few months, it's going to be 2024. It's not that far away. And fast forward in 2023, they pay $14.50 now. So, yeah, it's bad. It's not, these trash slave wages are not keeping up with the cost of living and inflation, right? But let me just finish my point, right? So he made an awesome, excellent point, the DoorDash Sucks YouTube channel, about how pretty much the slave wages have barely increased over the past few years, but yet the cost of living has skyrocketed tremendously over the past few years. And these garbage companies don't pay their workers enough to be able to, make a decent living. And that's a big problem. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there real quick because I had just remembered that. And it was a really good point. The corruption is so like blatantly in our faces. It amazes me the amount of people that still don't see it for what it is. But it is what it is. All I can do is put this info out there and warn as many people as possible and encourage people to prepare and continue to get this information out there, to as many people as possible. It goes on to say, according to the Wall Street Journal, the United States has seen a record increase in homeless people this year. Please let that statement sink in for a moment. So far in 2023, the number of homeless people in the U.S. is up 11% from last year. I'm not even surprised. That is the biggest jump that the government has ever recorded. Not even during the recession of 2008 and 2009 did we see anything like this. And you see, what's coming is going to make these things that we're seeing now and like all of these other economic crises that have happened in the past look like just child's play in comparison. Because whenever that next worldwide scam is rolled out, I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen eventually because they're planning it. They already have it planned. They know, the people planning it know when it's going to take place. And when it takes place, they're going to go full force like you've never seen before. Like, people were complaining about how bad 2020 was, right? They were complaining about how bad it was, not even realizing what the psychopaths running this world have planned for the future. Not even realizing how much worse it's going to be when they roll out the next one. But I've been saying this stuff for a good while now. Yeah. But it goes on to say, unfortunately, the outlook for the months ahead is not promising. I'm going to read a few more lines and end the video off there. I know I made this video really long with, me talking a lot, but I got a lot of stuff to say about this stuff. And this stuff is really important to me, It's really important that I get that I get my message out there and share it with you guys and continue posting this important information and getting it out to as many people as possible. Unfortunately, the outlook for the months ahead is not promising because it's definitely not promising at all, because it looks like the cost of living is going to continue to rise at a brisk pace. Also, it amazes me how some people still try to have like this like, oh, everything's going to be great type of mindset, right? As in like everything's just going to be perfectly fine in society, and you don't gotta, you can just put your head in the sand and ignore these issues that are taking place. This is just like the typical like mindset of an ignorant person, thinking everything's going to go back to normal, everything is going to get better, there's not going to really be any problems. This is the type of mindset that an ignorant person would have, right? They ignore the blatant issues that are taking place in society with the economic conditions and everything like that, while screaming about how amazing it's going to be and how amazing it's going to get, just because, every single week they're, attending parties and stuff. So it gives them like this illusion that things in society are getting better and everything's so awesome and fun and everything. But, when they get caught off guard again, whenever the next big event takes place, they're going to get caught off guard again. And it's going to be like a whole nother cycle of what we've seen in 2020, but it's going to be a lot more harsh and strict and tyrannical. So, yeah, be ready for what's to come. I've said this stuff for a good while now, almost 4 years. I've been warning about these things. And the reality is that most people are still going to continue putting their heads in the sand about these things and continue. They're going to continue to stay ignorant, and they're going to continue to ignore it, and they're going to continue acting like things are going to be sweet. But sooner than later, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. But yeah, I know you guys watching this, you guys, or at least most of you, the vast majority of you, you guys know what the deal is. And I appreciate you guys for the continued support as well. Goes on to say pump prices are creeping towards $4 a gallon nationally. Yup. I literally witnessed that in my area too. Literally getting very close to $4 a gallon in my area. I mean, in some areas it's already like more than that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, gas prices are also increasing. The cost of everything is increasing. It's ridiculous. But it's by design. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the video off right there. I've talked a lot in this video. I need to take a drink of water real quick because after all of that talking, man, my mouth kind of dry after all of that talking. But yeah, I think I've said what I've had to say for this video. Yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you watched it this far, please share the video far and wide. Don't forget to continue preparing yourselves for what's to come. I know it's a struggle in this world with this corrupt slave system that we're dealing with and that we have to face on a regular basis. But do what you can, guys. Do what you can. Research how to, invest. Research what to invest in. Start doing these things, educating yourself on ways to break free from it as much as you can. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. And they're making it harder intentionally, day by day, to make it to make it, to keep up with your bills and all these different things. They're making it a lot harder. But do what you can to educate yourself and to prepare yourself for what's to come. And remember, putting this information out there because it's important and more people need to hear things like this, and more people need to understand how crucial it is that they prepare for what's to come, and how crucial it is for them to start learning things like how to invest. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you watched it this far, please share the video far and wide. I know I talked in this video a lot, but I've said everything that I felt like I needed to say in this video so far. So yeah, if you watch this video this far, I appreciate it. I thank you guys for the continued support and everything. Please share the video far and wide. I've said this so many times in this video. But yeah, I'm out now.